Hi, I'm Lea Louise from Inspired Quilting by Lea Louise. Welcome to my sewing room. I'm really glad that you're joining me today. I have some ideas I want to share with you about how to cut your fat quarters for quilting easily and into usable pre-cut sizes. Fat quarters are a fabulous way to buy quilting fabrics, and when they're all bundled up and tied in a bow, they become pretty irresistible to pass up. But believe it or not, fat quarters are meant to be quilted with, not just collected. And with an abundance of fat quarters myself, I realized I needed to change my tactic to figure out a better way to use my fat quarters. And I have some ideas I want to share with you. These are some ideas I think that'll help inspire you to find ways to use more of your fat quarters. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Here's the fat quarter bundle that I recently received. I'm a member of the Fat Quarter Shop bundle of the month, and I get the Hoffman Fanciful Batiks each month. This is a 12-pack fat quarter selection of the Fanciful Fuchsia fabrics, and they're beautiful. Now, sometimes when I get a bundle of fat quarters, I'll use the whole thing. 12 fat quarters will give me 3 yards of fabric, and that's good to make a baby quilt or a small lap size quilt, so it's workable in itself. Now, there are other times I want to mix the fabrics up and use them with other pieces rather than use one collection just by itself. And that's when I use my nifty little trick here in order to pre-cut my fabric so I can use them and they're more available to me. Now what I'm going to do is cut them into 3 basic sizes. So the first thing, I line up 6. I can easily cut 6 with a rotary, and with a set of 12 that works out really good. Make sure your blade is sharp, because you should be able to get through 6, but if you don't have a sharp blade, you're going to have a problem, and that'll be frustrating, and you may get some faulty cuts. I'm going to set this up so my 20 inches goes from side to side, and my 18 goes from front to back. Now I'm going to overlay this at the very edge here just a little bit so I can trim it up after. The first thing I'm going to do is cut off a 10-piece strip from down below. So here's my 10-inch marker right there, and I'm going to cut it right at 10 inches, and that leaves me 8 inches by, how much is that? By 21 inches. Actually, it's 21.5. So this is an extra piece that I'm going to set aside. This is the largest piece that I will have from cutting my fat quarters. What's nice about this, it's large enough to use in a quilt that may provide larger size blocks so you can show off fabrics, showcase particular blocks or prints that you like. And so that works out really well. Now I'm going to turn this around and I'm going to cut it nice and even at the 10-inch mark, because some of these edges weren't quite straight, and when I fussed with them they kind of wiggled around, and sometimes it's just easier to take that little strip off. So now I have a block that is 10 inches by 20, whatever the half width of fabric, so it's 21. And what I'm going to do is cut this down to 20 inches because I'm going to cut the rest of this into 5-inch squares. So in cutting my 20-inch, let's get that. Now these are on the narrower side. Sometimes, depending on how wide the fabric is, I can get 2.5-inch strips here. But either way, these are great for strip quilting, so I will save those. I cut off the side with the selvage, so everything here is a raw edge. There's no selvages. And from here, I'm going to cut my 8 5-inch squares. So I'll go from here, and I'll go ahead and cut across at 5 inches, and then I'll do the same this way. So I am going to end up with 4 5-inch squares across and 2 rows of them. So I'm going to get a total of 8 5-inch squares. And that's a good size or a good quantity of those charm squares to use in a quilt. Now, with a 12 pack of fat quarters, if you cut one group of 8, you're going to end up with the equivalent of 2 charm packs because you're going to have 96 pieces. Now, had I just cut a single row of 4, that would have given me 1 charm pack. So keep in mind, if you have a 12 pack of fat quarters and you cut just 1 row of the 5-inch squares, then you're going to have 48. And when you think about the average charm pack usually has 42, you're ahead of the game. So if you double this by 8, you've got 96, almost 100 charm squares, and that's a lot to use in any quilt. Now, it's nice to have these big pieces of your fat quarters, but realistically, I've never seen a pattern that says use your whole fat quarter without cutting it. They're generally going to be cut into other sizes, so why not go ahead and pre-cut them into sizes that you most commonly use? So go ahead and grab some fat quarters and give it a try. Start cutting out some blocks the way you like to use it. I do have a link below for some different fat quarter cutting layouts. There's a gazillion options online that you can find, and these are some of the ones most common that I use. And I hope you find something in there that'll work for you. This specific cut that we did here today will be on one of the sheets to download as well. And I'll also include the charm pack conversion list, so that will give you an idea of how many charm squares you can get out of each fat quarter and how many per yard, etc. So go ahead and take a look at that and see what you can come up with. And I hope this is some incentive for you to get inspired to use your fat quarters to make more quilts. Enjoy your fabric and have a wonderful day. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it.